Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Labi, and in this video I am going to talk about lime producing across Africa. I'm a Ghanaian. I work from Ghana, but I have been privileged and honored, and as part of my work I have been, I don't know if I say privileged or honored. It's part of my work. As part of my work, I have produced or lime produced in 5 different African countries. And honestly, there are so many things they don't tell you about producing film across Africa, and I am here to break it down. The first thing they don't tell you is payment across Africa. Look, I don't know how to say this, but it is so difficult to move money across Africa. If you're in Ghana, moving money to Togo is a headache. Moving money to Nigeria is a headache. Moving money to South Africa, it's a headache because I have line produced in Tanzania, I've done South Africa, I've done Namibia, I have done Nigeria, and I've done Lome, and it's stressful. Payment across Africa is so stressful. And so I've had to carry cash from Ghana to Namibia. I've had to carry cash from Ghana to South Africa and people have had to trust me. I don't know why they trusted me. I don't know it's because of the way I was quite honest about the fact that, look, I can't pay you through my bank. I can't do a bank transfer. I can't do an app transfer because when I went to my bank and I requested for them to transfer money to Namibia, it took more than a week and I had to travel within 3 days. So I went back to them and told them, you know what, thank you very much for this. Give me back my money. And then I had to travel to Namibia to pay. So one of the things I didn't tell you about producing films across Africa is the fact that payment across Africa will stress you out so much. And I'm not even talking about if you're from Europe paying into Africa. Oh, that's easy. If you're in the UK, you're paying to someone in Africa, you find it very easy. But if you're in Ghana trying to pay across Africa, if you're in South Africa trying to pay across Africa, it is the worst thing you will ever face. So the next thing they don't tell you about producing films across Africa is the fact that logistics in Africa is expensive. It's cheaper to fly to the UK than it is to fly to different parts of Africa. And this has come up a lot when I was line producing because for a lot of them, they thought, oh, we are just going to say Zanzibar. Or we are going to Namibia. It should be like a $500 price ticket. And for me to tell them that, oh, actually, flying to Namibia is like $900. And it brings up so many problems. And that's the one thing because traveling within Africa is so expensive. If you want to fly within Africa, it's a headache because there are no proper road networks. Connecting the continent is very expensive. And so anytime you want to produce stuff across Africa, you can't do it. So you are always limited to the places where you can't afford. And if you're in Ghana and you want to say produce something in South Africa, your budget goes up exponentially when it comes to logistics. So travel logistics is so expensive. I wouldn't say accommodation because each country has different accommodation tiers. So depending on your taste, depending on what you want your level of luxury to be, you pay according to that. But when it comes to basic travel, it is so expensive. And I think that's the one thing that you never think about when you want to produce across Africa, when you want to produce movies across different parts of Africa. So you are in the continent and you want to travel from Ghana to Sierra Leone and you're paying like $800 and you are so confused because that's like an hour away. But yeah, that's what we do. That's what we face. And it's such a headache. And I don't want this to be a political thing, like try to appeal to our leaders, because honestly, what haven't we said is frustrating. I'm going to keep this to film. The next thing you should know about producing films across Africa is that the exchange rate is king. No matter what you think about the exchange rate, the dollar is king. And also the exchange rate fluctuates so much that what costs $300 today will not cost $300 tomorrow because this continent, I'll use Ghana and I'll use Nigeria, for example, it's so crazy that what costs $100, like say today something is 1,000 cedis, so that's $100. Tomorrow, that same thing is 1,500 cedis, so that's $150. There's no explanation for it. There's no rhyme or reason for it. So if you want to produce films across Africa, you should really put a 5 to 10% leeway in your budget that will absorb all these exchange rate shocks because it will feel like your line producers, your fixers across Africa are trying to cheat you. They really aren't. Their governments are screwing them up. And so they have to find a way to absorb it. So if you want to produce films across Africa, this is something that you should be aware of. Another thing they don't tell you about producing across Africa is taxes and customs and all those little payments you have to make. A lot of countries don't have standardized rates for a lot of things. So you figure it out as and when you enter into a country. Like when you want to produce in Ghana, you have to pay for your visas. And I know for a lot of foreigners, it's like, well, why do I need a visa to come anywhere? You don't know the process of applying for a visa, but you need to figure out what the visa requirements for each country is. When you are going to a place, taxes, I have taken many an anti-bribery course. But when you want to produce across Africa, you should always have a little money somewhere that will sort people out. Now, is it legal? That's not for me to say. But if you want your process, if you want your film production to run smoothly, always have money around to sort people out. You know, a little $5 here, a little $10 here, a little $20 here. Because that's the difference between having a smooth production and having a production go awfully wrong. Because if I've faced so many situations whereby I've tried to be like, okay, no, we are supposed to pay $100, but then it was like, oh no, yes, I mean, you can pay $100, but we need to, there's some man somewhere you need to sort out, and that's an extra $20. And before you realize it, you'd have left a certain location, have paid an extra $50 to your $100 you initially budgeted for. So if you are filming across Africa, those are your ways and means. Film production is crazy across Africa. Is one of the best things you will ever do, but it also comes with so many different things that you have to take into account. If not, you think that Africa is like such a dark continent, but it's such a rich place. And so all these things are what you should take into consideration when filming. One of the last things that you should know if you want to produce movies across Africa in Ghana is that you need to talk to a local fixer, a local producer, line producer, someone local, no matter what country you're going to, because security is a very important thing to consider. Because if you're going to a different country and you don't know anyone there, even if you've been to the country a million times, you're going to film there. So that's a different terrain. So you need to touch base with someone that, hey, I'm come to film. I need security. I need da 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 da. Because if you just go to a place and you take out your camera and they come and face you, nobody is going to fight for you. And I think that's also very important to touch base with people, just so that you are able to know local customs, local anything, things to know. Because there are certain places that you go to whereby, they speak English, is fine. There are certain places you go to whereby they speak English, but they won't communicate with you in English. And you need a local person to front you. And so that's one of the things I'll say. If you come to film across Africa, please get in touch with a local. It is very, very important, because it will also help you with security. Security is very important. I'm not going to say that every part of Africa is safe, but it is relatively safe. And depending on where you go to, you would need an increased amount of security. So for some places, you just need, like a bouncer, a thick person. And in other places, you need an armed policeman. All these are things you have to consider when you're filming. Hence why it's very important to get in touch with a local producer, line producer, local fixer, okay, of which I am. If this video has been helpful, don't forget to like my video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Follow me. Drop your questions you might have, your concerns, things you might have had, misconceptions. I will address all of that in my next couple of videos. So stick and stay. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being with me, and I'll see you on my next video.